Man, it's so hard to keep honesty under a fucking like in a 10-minute video. That shit just runs on, man. Ugh. Spend an hour trying to make a video like less than 10 minutes, but I can't because there's just so much shit to talk about constantly. Um, LGZ, I don't know if you can send me any of your data analytics for that program you're running, but I would greatly appreciate that, dude. I have an email set up for this. It's just Stoktopus411 at Gmail. I would love to take a peek at that shit. Because, I mean, everything I do is old school fucking eyeball and pen and pad. And, just watching, just seeing the shit they do. But one thing I want to really just go over is the fact that this has been a conviction play from day one. From day one, it's been, you have to have a belief in the malicious malpractice of hedge funds and what they do when they attempt to bankrupt a company. And it's documented. Like I said, you could, if you look into naked shorting and study about naked shorting and just shorting in general, and then you get into the malicious side of it, the fraudulent side of it, um, you're going to end up, back in some paperwork from 20 plus years ago and shit, um, ish, roughly. And you'll see comments and shit and everything on certain filings, and I mean deep comments, book long comments. Some dude had fucking, it was like a 142-page comment from back then, before the 2008 collapse, talking about the shit they're doing that could see the economy collapse because no one's regulating it. It's being allowed to happen, and it's a fucking problem. I mean, dude wrote a goddamn novel basically on it. And it's a very interesting read, and it's very detailed about how they naked short companies they intend to bankrupt. And then, by the time it's over and they bankrupt them, they own the company and they don't have to return those naked shorts, and no one's going to be investigating anything because they own the company. And that's basically what the belief and the conviction is in this, that this was a bankruptcy play. And my venture into this, like I said, began here. And I didn't really get into watching and paying attention to the YouTube shit until mid-late April. I mean, I saw Trey's shit here, but I couldn't stand his laugh first. The shit got on my nerves because I had a friend who used to laugh like that and annoyed the piss out of me. Um, but when I heard people talking about, there was Trey and there was Matt, really. They were the only ones, and there was like a dozen channels that were just fuck AMC. AMC's bullshit. I can't believe you're buying into this. There's no way it's ever going to run up again like it did. And I thought they were talking about this. I thought they were talking about like the $5 up to $15 in a week. I hadn't gone back that far yet and realized that there was a fairly substantial run up in January. I was in the hiccup. I thought I was in the run up. And it wasn't until, I was still watching this because they had already made money on it. I was already, vested in AMC, and watching the movements and shit and realizing the options chain could be lucrative for whatever the reason was. It was just kind of when I found out that there was a short squeeze play or whatever. But I wasn't really like convicted about it or in full belief because it didn't make sense to me, because I'm like, dude, this company's dead. It hasn't made money in 5 fucking years. We're in a pandemic. It's not even open. It doesn't make sense that this thing went from $5 to 14. I mean, I got lucky and I got out here at like 12.70 or something when I sold. I didn't even look at it till the next day to see that it went up to about 14.50. And then Trey started talking about that 14.50 shit because I got back in somewhere around here, made a little bit of money on options again, got out, and then I was just like, man, why is this like, how and why is this thing pushing up like it is? Like, this should be dying. This should be a dead fucking company. Um, and then I really started watching him, really started watching him, paying attention. Then when he did that fucking like, I'm gonna own $80,000 worth of AMC by the end of the day, I watched that whole live stream. I was like, wow, just he has his position wide open, showed how much he owned, kept buying it, buying it, and buying it. Um, and I was like, wow, okay, well, he's put his money where his mouth is. He's done brought this 1450 thing up a bunch. And then when I witnessed the 1450 shit happen here, that shit blew my fucking mind. Because for one, this thing was trading like like it is now. It's just, it moves pennies at a fucking time, which doesn't make sense for with where it's at in between $30 and $40, and it fucking just like moves pennies at a time. That's what it did back here. And then to see that bitch hit 1450 and immediately jump up over a quarter, it on the screen I was watching, it went to fucking 1481 and then immediately got slammed down. This shit says it went to 1467. I saw it go to 1481 and then get fucking just crushed. And then we found out why it got crushed. And then this thing blew up because it was headlines everywhere about it. And a lot of it was FUD headlines. Like, yeah, even Wanda knows, get the fuck out. This is a dead play, blah, 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 whatever the case. But I noticed that 1450, and then that was when I looked back to when I first made my money, and it was like, oh shit, dude, that was 1450. And, then I really started believing a little more in it, started watching every day, started paying more attention to this shit, and started buying more and getting in more and getting more contracts and shit. And then, of course, this shit happened. And when this shit happened, when this bitch went over its all-time high for the year, everyone's attitude changed. All those people with fucking channels that were saying this is stupid and you guys are dumb and that the run-up, which was this run-up, was a fluke and it's never going to happen again and you're just wasting your money and blah, blah, blah. And then this shit fucking happened. Everybody shut up. Like everyone did, and everyone took notice, and channels started changing their tune completely. Went from anti-AMC to pro-AMC overnight. And then obviously, of course, all this shit happened. And it's just got to be understood that this is a conviction play. It is, and it has been from the beginning. We don't have access to the data we need to back a lot of shit up, to confirm a lot of things, good or bad. We just don't. We have to work with what we got. And there's too many people out here right now that are like, oh, well, you need to prove this, and you need to prove this, and you need to prove this. And we already know we can't. Like, we just know that we can't. And a lot of shit is literally starting to sound like this time frame in here when I was in this shit and watching it every day and seeing what everyone was saying and all that. A lot of it's the same. All the shit that's been said through here was all said through here. Um, the very first video I made talked about the algos before I really got into making videos like this and pulling up charts and shit. Just let everyone know, dude, that there you go. I'm trying to tell you guys, this is algorithms that are fucking you up. This is high frequency trading. That keeps driving this price down, and the only way to stop it is with immense buying pressure. It forces that algo to stop and reset and think and think and think. And if you trap it in an area where it has to keep constantly trying to think about what's going on, and you're just buying, you're fucking winning. That's how you beat them. But none of this shit made sense. None of this. For this bitch to drop like it did and run right back up, and then drop again, but then run right back up. And all this volume that we fucking had, all of it, and it just disappeared. Like, it just disappeared for no fucking reason. And it was on a Thursday. Like, a Thursday. The Monday started off great, Tuesday started off great, Wednesday was a little funky, but Wednesdays are like that a lot of the time. They just typically are. Thursday was slamming for some reason, and then fucking you got the goddamn Friday, which is... that's one of the better days when people are trying to make money, trying to get their contracts into money. And, the volume loses a sizable percentage after running off a fucking super high. I think that was its high. Yeah, that Thursday was the highest volume day it had all week. All week. And then the next day, it just, on Friday, loses it by a big percentage. And then Monday, huge fucking percentage drop in volume. And this is when the 18th and 21st, this is when I really started noticing volume drop off and volatility disappearing and contracts beginning to die, and things really started seeming very, very strange, very, very much manipulated. Like, it didn't make sense. This is huge. This was the biggest it had ever been. There were so many eyes on it, so much money pouring into it, so many people convicted in this thing. And then it just, with a snap of a finger, went away. Just went away for no fucking reason. None. Everyone was confused. Everyone with a channel couldn't figure it out. They just didn't know. They were like, what the fuck? I don't know. I don't fucking know. And then, of course, people start looking at dark pools and shit. And then you start, like, they weren't really looking at that shit back here, but then you see, oh, well, 70-some% of AMC's fucking volume happened in the dark pool today, or whatever the case may be. And that's, that's not supposed to happen. We own over 80 some percent of the fucking float, and more than half of its activity is happening in a dark pool. What? That doesn't make any fucking sense. But this is when shit really started getting nasty, and started noticing, just look at this, the volume just disappearing day by day. Just huge drops in volume that didn't make sense. They made no fucking sense. And then this is when fuck bubbles were on the threshold list. They had like 2.2 million fails to deliver. Um, which means people at that time, they may have been attempting to exercise contracts and attempting to fucking drive this shit up. But all those FTDs didn't allow it to happen. But there was just strange shit that happened in here. Somebody flipped a switch. In my first video I talked about, I said the same thing. I said, you guys just fuck this thing up. And it's like someone turned the switch off on the program, and they had to jump back in the driver's seat and manually take over because we were overwhelming that shit, overwhelming it with the buying pressure, fucking it up. And the same thing here. It was like someone just flipped a switch, man. Volume just started disappearing for no reason. None. There was no reason for it. Not a goddamn one for why this did this. Having a stellar fucking week, highest volume day, and then nobody cares on Friday. Everyone gave up on Friday, on the most important day of the week for trading, for a trader as a whole. Stop, man. Fucking stop. Like, to just go out on a whim here and just believe everyone just lost interest and just started selling or whatever is silly. That's just silly to think that way. This shit was manipulated beyond a shadow of a doubt. Fucking manipulated. I guarantee you, if that routing volume off exchange happened, our volume, guarantee you it fucking happened. No, we can't prove it because we don't have that type of transparency. That's what a lot of this is about, and what my biggest fucking conviction in this is making this a more fair market. It's the equivalent of going to a casino. It's the equivalent of sitting at a fucking poker table. It is. It's like going to play poker at a casino and you sit at the fucking table and you're one of two guys. You're either the guy with the most information that understands the odds at any given time with how many people are sitting at the table, with how many are still in and didn't fold, and knowing just from looking at your cards what potentially is out there to give you that edge, that advantage to win. As opposed to the guy who just likes poker and plays once a month on the weekends with his buddies and just plays. And don't get me wrong, those guys do win too. They win too. It happens. But still, I'd rather be the guy with the most information to make the best decisions with my play. And the market as a whole does not offer that to retail. It doesn't. Hedge funds, all those guys, they have access to every bit of the information that we want. Every fucking bit of it. And that's why it's impossible to win. Like, a scenario like this does not come along. And it's easy after, watching all this happen to be like, oh, this whole thing's bullshit. It's all normal, and there's nothing there. Everyone's just trying to. It's easy to say that, but the fact of the matter is, all of that same shit was all said through here. All of it. All of it. The only difference in this and this here is there's more money in this. That's it. Let's go ahead and squeeze these down a bit. Let's make them look like little candles. Yeah, it's the only difference. It's just more money. It's just bigger numbers, bigger value there. But the percentages and shit, the percentages of the change and the patterns and shit are very, very close. Very consistent with an AI program and learning and adjusting how it trades, but within a dynamic, like a certain percentage. It's very, very close. And that's the only difference, is it's just a bigger number. It's just a bigger number. This value is just bigger, but the percentages overall are very similar. A lot of the filings and shit that are finally getting put through and implemented, they started back here. They fucking began their journey back here, and they're finally now starting to get implemented. There's changes that have happened. Um, there's a lot of stuff that it can't be proved, and that's a fucking problem. Which is why the only thing that I'm trying to focus on now is helping myself and anyone else I can regain any of our losses. That's it. Because this is still a play that should never be ignored. It still has, a high volume than a lot of other fucking plays do. It's got a big market cap. It's a good place to make money when it's profitable. It is. And if you were in this shit before here, like you already know, you know just how much money this motherfucker can make you. Uh, and then, you go down here. I would love for this to be over the histogram. But if you're just looking at the line as a whole, the last time we had a little bit of a gap when it jumped over the signal and then narrowed was right back here in May. The last time it made a very similar movement was back here in May, and it kind of hopped up and then ran a narrow line before a big movement. And even the histogram as a whole looked like this, like little bar, bigger bar, little bar, like it's signaling for a downturn. Did the same thing here. Little bar, big bar, big bar, big bar, little bar, big movement. So it's just looking at it from that angle, that type of pattern. It could very well be setting up to do this, little bar, big bar, little bar, big bar, little bar. We don't know. You don't know. You just make the best informed decision with what you have in front of you. Everything about the stock market is pattern related. Everything. Because 90% of this bitch is ran by algorithms. Like, it just is. I already showed it to you in the SPY. I literally showed you big money is in the SPY. A lot of people's money is in the SPY, but especially big money. There's a lot of their money in that bitch. And it's timed on a monthly basis. On a monthly basis, that bitch reassesses and reevaluates its holdings and adjusts accordingly. And it can be seen. So running around looking for data that we know isn't there and that we can't get, that's just, in my opinion, is a waste of time. It just is. We can't find it anyway, so why are we going to be screaming for it? There's a lot of shit that needs to take place for us to get access to information that we need, but to just throw manipulation in this stock out the window and think that this is all normal is absolutely insane to me. That just tells me you have not been watching this thing. You haven't been. If this thing was not as manipulated as it is, there is no fucking way, none, I would have been able to predict last week. There's no way. Literally, I told you guys on Tuesday, yeah, if this was me and this shit was going on, or on Wednesday, and this bitch was, I see all this buying pressure coming back in, and I'm having to short and short and short to fucking combat it. You can see it. You literally see the program fucking trying to keep it there, and wasn't enough buying pressure to break through, but it was enough to fuck it up. And I already knew that shit was going to have to be reevaluated because Wednesdays are never that serious. And we knew they needed to keep it under 35. That was the goal. And something that's changed is how much they short, how big of a movement to the downside they make through shorting. It's changed a lot. It's nowhere near as severe. I don't know why it is. Could be because of the margin shit, maybe. I don't know. They could just have too many positions and they're not allowed to short as much anymore. No one fucking knows. All you can do is follow the pattern, follow the daily activity, how the shit moves, what it does. But because of that, because of the shorting and naked shorting and whatever, the malicious manipulation of the stock, whether legal or illegal, whatever you want to call it, doesn't matter. It's still the manipulation of the fucking stock. I was literally able to say, well, now they're fucked. Now they're going to have to open up the day tomorrow. They're going to have to open it up and kick this bitch down under 35. If they've lost the ammo that they have, that it looks like they've had, that they used to be able to do. Used to be able to just fucking push it down anywhere they fucking wanted to. And then even if it started going up, they'd fucking throw that bitch down $2 more, no problem. But it had changed. The dynamic had changed as a whole. The manipulation was nowhere near as severe. Still not. Have volume kind of returning, buy pressure coming back in. Things that haven't been there for weeks now, for a long time. But that's the only reason I was able to call that. Thinking like them, knowing what their target is, what they need to get to, seeing that it looks like they're out of ammo, so there's no way they can just let this ride into Friday. If it gets over 35 on Thursday and starts making a trend upward, they might not be able to get it down under 35. They need to kick it hard the next day, straight down to 35 under it, and try to keep it there. Try to keep it there. And when they did that and didn't immediately push it down to 33, like that just told me everything I need to know. They cannot short like they have been. They can't. Whatever the reason is, they can't, or they would have. And they didn't. They did not. They had to come up with a new fucking plan. They had to. Um, so that's all based on focusing on the manipulation. It has nothing to do with people not buying. Nothing to do with that at all. Zero. And there's absolutely no way that I can account for humans and when they'll sell and how they're going to sell and how much they're going to sell. There's none. I can't do that. That's because I don't know. That's the same thing as the computer. It doesn't fucking know. That program has no idea. Um, it's literally just following the manipulation. That is there. That has been occurring. Still is occurring. Nowhere near as malicious as it was. Nowhere near as blatant as it. I mean, it's still kind of blatant to me, but um, not as obvious to anyone that just looks at the chart, at the end of the day or in the middle of the day or at the beginning of the day, not watching it all day. Um, so yeah, I mean, overall, that's just all I'm doing. That's it. That's all I've been looking at, all I'm looking for. The drop off in volume and then a correlation to people finding very high volume in dark pools. And then people are like, oh, yeah, no, it's not going to dark pools. You just stop buying. Or whatever the case may be. Whatever they're saying, that's their business. My goal, my priority here is to keep tracking this thing, um, hoping for a profitable turnaround, which it seems to be heading that way, but maybe not. Maybe not. I do not fucking believe for one moment that they are going to push this bitch down under 20. People were saying that shit back at like the third week of July, second and third week of July. They're going to push this thing under 20. Like, that's their goal. They're going to push it under 20, or at least down to it. And I was, no, they're not. No, they're not. They're not going to do that. That would fuck the program up. There would be an insane amount of buying pressure. It would be cheaper again, very cheap again. More people could afford more shares. I guess that $30 to $32 range is the safe range for them. It is a range that sees retail sees. It splits them. Some are gonna buy, some are not. Some are gonna sell. Some are, it's an area that the system knows there's not a lot of buying pressure there. There's just not at all. People are more likely to probably sell in that area and wait because they think it may go down lower, or they're just going to stall and sit there and see if it's going to go higher. It's the no-no zone. That's what it is. And, there's nothing you can do. There's no way, like everyone bitch, oh, you ain't been buying. First off, you don't fucking know that. People, because this doesn't make sense. This is a lot of buying. All this, a lot of buying, and just disappeared. Just overnight disappeared. It doesn't make sense. So having their shit routed to a dark pool, that fucking makes sense. That makes sense to me. Whether you can actually prove it or not, it doesn't fucking matter. It logically makes sense for what the hell has happened in this stock. It just makes sense. And again, it's a conviction play. A lot of this is about your beliefs. Mine's a little more educated belief because I'm looking at the patterns, looking at the history. And at this point, again, I'm not in any sort of buy and hold and to the moon. I'm in a, hey, this is a profitable play again. If you play it right, you know when to get in, know when to get out. There's definitely potential based on history for a nice movement up again. Maybe not necessarily any sort of gigantic movement, but a nice movement based on everything I see personally. And I'm not fucking gonna go make a website and everything and put all the data analytics on it and all that shit, and then, I'm just not doing that. You can come here, you can see what I'm talking about, you can, listen to me or not. It's all it is my best shot at saving you all money and hopefully making you all money, because they fucked me over too. And I don't want to allow that to happen. I'm going to do my best to not allow that to happen. Bottom line, my focus is this. That's it. This looks like it is becoming I know it is profitable again, because again, I've made money in it um, for the first time in like 2 months. So it's becoming profitable again. It's becoming a play that you can watch and analyze and make money. And at any given moment, with all the filings and everything that have come through, with these motherfuckers knowing that they're being looked at like dark pool, the dark pool went, like I said, down from like 70 some percent average. It was going there to a little over 50. Um, so at any given moment, there could be a shitload of buying pressure that comes back into this. And again, no one knows exactly how the dark pools operate, but based on what I've heard from professionals and interviews and shit that I've read, that, like I said, it could be anywhere from like 30 to 90 days, depending on how large of a purchase it is, that fucking thing gets broke up and sprinkled into the stock over time. And if they have been doing that dark pool shit for a long fucking time, it's going to get to the point where it has consecutive days of that sprinkling in coming in now every fucking day. So the chance for this to have some big movements, in my opinion, nice ones to make some money, is there. Doesn't mean that's going to happen. They could come out the gate Monday and just short the fuck out of this thing down to 20 like everyone said back in July they were going to do or whatever. And no one knows. No one knows. I just know that that's a dangerous play for them. It's a dangerous play. If you've been watching this and been watching like I have, you just know. You know that the 30 to 40 range, and especially the low 30s, which is basically where we ended. We had a couple days where we ended there. That was really our last point of strength resistance for us before it took off. It's the last place people remember being comfortable with and looking around at and, whatever, before it blew up. That is the zone right there. That is where you can keep this thing held and fuck with it. You go lower, they're going to fucking buy, dude. They're going to buy. It's going to fucking happen. And if this algorithm is programmed to study where buying pressure was at certain price points and shit, it's definitely not going to put that shit anywhere in here. There was massive amounts of buying in there. Massive. So, we'll see. Again, I just want you guys to make smart decisions with your money. That's it. It's the bottom line. Become more intelligent investors. All I'm doing, just giving you the shit that I see. What I see personally. What I've noticed, what I've been looking at. I know some of y'all jump back into the options chain that have, a little more, you got a little more comfortable with your money and the situation, whether that was based on what I was showing you or not, or what you saw on your own. I hope you made money. I know you could have if you, weren't like, oh, I'm holding this forever. If you got in and got out like you needed to, you can make money back, in chunks here. And we'll see. I was, again, hoping that they weren't going to be able to keep it under 35, but I know that it took a very, very intelligent approach this go around for them to keep it under 35 rather than just the wham bam slam it down and fuck what you heard, fuck what they say, we don't even care. It was a much more intelligent and strategic play on their end to keep it under 35. So that's good that it wasn't, a blatant, just straight blind-sided sucker punch. Um, if it would have closed over 35, I might be a little more inclined to be like, yeah, you know what? We're getting back to where this thing was before, where we actually can fight for that price point, legitimate on as even a battle round as we're going to get. So I'm not of the mindset that you should be buying long contracts yet or anything. If you're buying them, it should be for the day. It should be meant to be a day trade depending on which way this thing's going. Like I said, you could buy a put and a call at the very end of a day if you wanted to. And whichever way it starts rocking, get rid of the other one and let that fucking go. And then get rid of that when you're at the profit margin that you want to be at. I would recommend, like having your phone up and your computer up with your platform to make that happen, just so it can be quicker. But yeah, that's all we're doing here now, man. You already know all you need to really know about the Kansas Five. If you've been here and this time, you really, really know. Like, you already know the shit I'm saying is fucking legit. Um, and you already know there's nothing we can really do if they're going to be manipulating this shit like that. Like, seriously, if you think from here, if you were here for all this shit, and you think that this week here, this was a huge fucking week. Huge. And then on Friday, we gave up this whole community, all these fucking new people pouring into this thing, everything, took this thing back down to 30 something, brought it back up, pushed it back down into the 40s and brought it back up to the mid 60s, just moving like a champ, like it was getting ready to break, and then just died. And you think that just fucking, yeah, everyone just got tired of making money and decided, fuck the squeeze. No one cares. Yeah, I don't think so. This was where it all started. Right here, this Friday and over the weekend, they came up with a lovely plan to destroy this. And that's what fucking happened. I don't care what anyone thinks. In my personal belief, based on what I witnessed, that is what fucking happened. So, anyone out there going, yeah, I'm buying, they stopped buying, everyone stopped buying. Well, no, they didn't, because they were, and then something happened to those buys. Because I seriously doubt that all those people just decided to stop buying at the same time on Friday when contracts were expiring. Like, I seriously doubt that. And I believe that was, what, the 60s? Yeah, that was the one where there was so many 60s. So many that could have fucking just catapulted this thing. And this was one of the ones where they just pushed it. They got it right under fucking 60 at the end of the day. So, it's the beautiful thing about being a human being. You're free to believe whatever you guys want to believe. Um, I'm going to keep doing what I'm doing for you guys to, follow this from a profitability standpoint, not a squeeze standpoint. I don't give a fuck about it. I've witnessed enough of the manipulation that I know it's real. I know it's there. And I don't care if you can find, the actual data that some people are looking for, because you can't. It's not available to retail investors at all. So we're just going to run with this thing from a profitability standpoint, and you know, I'm just hoping if this thing does return to a point, we start getting some green days, red days, green days, but the options chain and the volume are responding normally, then we're good. We're in a good place. This is going to be one of the best plays to be in for the value for your money. If volume returns and the volatility affects our options properly, um, like I said, you'll be able to buy, again, options that expire a month or two out, that hopefully you're set up for this thing, for the next move. And even if something dumb happens, you can get rid of them. If something dumb happens, you get rid of them. But we're just trying to make some money back. That's it. We just want to make some of the money back that we lost because of these motherfuckers here. Um, overall, I'm still green. I've been green on AMC. I still made money on this play, but they took a lot of it. Just a lot of it. A whole lot of it. Because of the whole being in this part, and the conviction and the stock and the whole, I'm buying, holding for you, you buy, you hold for me, and we're going to stick it to these guys, and this thing's going. And that's the fucked up part, is that here, that may not have been a lie, man. Like, I know those kids got out and took profits. I know they did. That doesn't mean they didn't come back in and buy back in here. And maybe got out again on the next run up and then started buying back in here. But this here that was it. That was everything when I saw this shit going to hell, and was like, wow, yeah, we're fucked. Like, 'cause this should have kept going. This should have continued trend and kept going. This was just more volume, biggest volume, and then fucking falls flat. Like, that's crazy. And that would suggest to me that they had to route some volume out to the dark pool that day and prevented this thing from hitting 60. So, anyway, I'll leave it at that, because once again, fucking trying to do a quick video, but can't. It's not possible, man. Lies are quick. Lies are easy to tell. Trying to drop some truth, trying to drop some knowledge, and hopefully help you guys just make better informed decisions when investing in this stock. Or whether you want to, I know someone said they're thinking about jumping into GME instead. I mean, by all means, be my guest. That's fine with me. But don't let someone else's position sway you just because. Make sure if you're doing that, it's because you believe your money is better suited over there. Because GME is another one of those things. It's the whole scenario, the whole environment is very, very similar to this, except GME is way more expensive. GME has less shares, and it hasn't had like a significantly huge move like this. Like, it hasn't never been up close to that $500 mark again, which doesn't mean it ain't going to go there and doesn't mean it's not primed to go there. But everything with the conviction in GME is the same thing in AMC. It is the same shit, the same conviction, believing that there's a bunch of naked shorts, believing that these guys are, being held by their throats because they own all of the float, which they don't know either. I mean, they fucking had an at-the-market offering of shares here recently, so they don't know who got a hold of them, who has them, what they're being used for. Like, no one fucking knows. So you just make sure, if you want to transition everything you have into GME, that you're doing it because you feel, you personally, based on your own information and your own evidence, believe that it's better suited over there. The GME is too rich for my blood. It just is. It's too rich for my blood. There's been a lot of people saying the same fucking thing. A couple of them, some of the bigger people too, that this thing's going to move, this thing's going to go, this thing's about to go, this thing's getting ready to go, this thing's going to, this is the catalyst, this is the catalyst. Same thing. And nothing's happened. It's actually been way more flat than anyone's fucking predicted. And, it's, you do your thing. But make sure it's because you want to do it. You believe that's where your money is going to be best suited. So do your own research, do your own investigation. Do not just watch a video or two of someone and just because they throw out information and make it sound pretty and sprinkle some glitter on it, that means that's where you need to go. Because I'm going to tell you right now, if I was convicted in something like a squeeze play and really, 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 really believed in it to my core, and that's what I was focused on, and all my money was in it, I would want to get everyone I possibly could to pour into whatever I'm invested in. It's that's what financial media literally does. That's what Jim Cramer fucking does all the time. All the time. I think it's so funny too. People are just now starting to talk about short and distort like that. Yeah, that's people are just now starting to talk about it. It's like people just discovered Investopedia. Some of your big fucking figureheads have just discovered Investopedia. It's funny, but I'm gonna get out of here because once again, this is like the third 40-minute video I've made today, trying to make under fucking 10 minutes, and I can't. So I'm out.